She's taking a swig. This is the Green Party convention, so give us 1 second here. So you guys are both delegates. I was really kind of taken aback by some of the speeches because you'll never hear that in a political arena. Yane, kind of talking about how we're all frankly racist, all these things. The media, if they got their hands on those, would make the Green Party, look like a bunch of crockpots. But it's really, to me, I got the vibe that this is a party that's focused on humanity instead of greed and, all this corporate plutocracy, similar to Bernie, but kind of a step further. What got you into the Green message and Jill Stein?
I've been involved with the Green Party for 7 years now. I started working on a campaign where our gubernatorial candidate was calling for a ban on fracking in New York, Howie Hawkins, and that really resonated with me as someone that wants to stop climate change and fossil fuel extraction. But also I got involved, I registered Green because of the Green Party's positions on foreign policy issues. It's a peace party that basically calls for a foreign policy based on human rights and disarmament and international cooperation, and it just speaks to my personal values of how I want to see the world work.
And on the foreign policy, Jill Stein is basically saying what a lot of the, military advisors on TV news won't say because they profit. Maybe they're attacking us because we're attacking them and dropping bombs. Maybe it's just we're kind of creating the terrorism. That's not something you hear in politics a lot. Do you think that message can resonate during this election, that maybe we need to unilaterally disarm and stop provoking every other Arab country?
I honestly hope so, and I started out as a Bernie Sanders supporter, and one thing that I discovered when I joined the Green Party and Jill Stein campaign is that she's better than Bernie on foreign policy. He was not calling for what she's calling for and cutting our military budget by 50%. And I'm so excited to be a part of a movement that really speaks to the values that I didn't realize any politician would ever speak to.
And when you look at kind of the Green Party, it's being introduced now for the first time to many people. I've kind of said, well, to be honest with you, is part of the issue. It's called the Green Party. Maybe people think it's only about the environment. If you were kind of describing to people the Green Party elevator pitch, what would you tell people? Since there are enough people right now that are fed up with Clinton, with Trump, why should they go green?
The Green Party is the country's only party, the country's only national party that does not take corporate money, which means that we can be independent of corporate influence. And we're a party that believes in human rights and human dignity. And so the 10 key values are like what underlies all of our policies. But yeah, human rights is, I think, the thing that really makes the Green Party different, and you can see it in our domestic policy and on issues like universal health care, free public higher education, and forgiving student debt, as well as international issues like, for example, cutting, basically, Jill's been calling for a weapons embargo to the Middle East, and then more broadly, cutting military aid to any countries that abuse human rights. In a way, I feel like the Green Party basically speaks for what are, universal human values. And I mean, we do have roots in environmental issues. The Green Party in Germany formed out of opposition to nuclear power, but even the German Greens were, Petra Kelly of the German Greens was outspoken about imperialism and how what then was referred to as the first world being oppressive of third world countries and women in third world countries. So I think the Greens have always had a broad analysis that's not just environmental. So part of it, I think, is just changing what we understand when we hear the word green. I think it's up to us, because the four pillars of the Green Party are peace, grassroots democracy, social justice, and ecological wisdom. And so lots of issues fall within those four pillars.
Something that stuck out to me on stage, Dr. Stein was talking about, all these people are talking about we're under a recovery. and she was saying, no, we're in an emergency. I think that's kind of the disconnect, even in the Democratic primary. A lot of the Hillary Clinton supporters, frankly, are doing a little better than most of Bernie Sanders supporters. A lot of them are older and don't really see things as a crisis. They, oh, you know, maybe things could be a little better, but they're kind of used to and accepting of, you know, the incremental. Why are people missing who are considering Clinton versus Trump? Why are they missing that we're under an emergency that needs an emergency type response, which would be Jill Stein?
I would believe that at times it is an aspect of privilege when people don't see that. As someone who lived in poverty most of my life, the Affordable Care Act did not make my life any better. It became harder for me to get part-time jobs for hours over 20 because they didn't want to provide insurance to me. My mother, who's a small business owner, takes the fine on her taxes because it's cheaper than paying for health insurance. I believe that we should move to a Medicare for All program, and that's something like I can't. Also, with the student debt crisis, I believe that's going to be a bigger disaster than the housing crisis ever was.
Well, the same jerks who pulled all these mortgages are now pulling all these student loans together, so it could be.
I had to drop out of school. I have $20,000 in debt and only a year's worth of credits to show for it. I couldn't afford another year of out-of-state tuition.
And lastly, looking at kind of this election, they're basically, if for whatever reason Trump wins, they're pointing to you guys, they're pointing to libertarians, and basically saying you guys put Mussolini in office and all that. You hear different responses here, but if it's not Jill Stein and it's Donald Trump, who's to blame if there is blame to go around?
I would say Hillary and the Democratic Party are to blame. I mean, if you look at their convention, one of the health insurance companies were sponsoring it. They struck the amendment to include universal health care in that platform. You can't blame people for voting for what they want. Like Julian Assange mentioned, he called it political extortion. It's like telling people like things are gonna be so horrible if you don't vote for Hillary. But it's like they're driving people away with the policies. And I mean, I think that the Clintons are absolutely disgusting the way that they've destroyed this country. And it's really important to talk about. It's not personal against Hillary. It's just we are talking about her record as a hawk that's supported the coup in Honduras. She's provided arms to Saudi Arabia. She claims that being First Lady is such great political experience, if that's such a great experience, that she is responsible for the dismantling of welfare, for the rise in mass incarceration. So if Trump happens to win the White House, which we hope doesn't happen, we hope to see Jill Stein win the White House. There's no one to blame but Hillary and the Democratic Leadership Council and the New Democrats that have been pushing this agenda of neoliberalism, privatization for decades now.
Thanks, guys.